And we're live. Here we are.
Yay!
Hey,
Woohoo!
I'm helping.
And you
You're
managed
helping.
you managed to change your avatar in the time it took for that countdown to go off and the intro
Yes.
to play. Very
Right?
very nice. Very nice.
That's impressive. I'll have to say
That
that is
that was
impressive.
that was very speedy. Is that your Game Boy that you custom did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a backlit screen's all it is. IPS
Well,
screen.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, it looks like the one he did. So anyway, we're already off on a tangent. So we're doing great. Part of the course for our group. Um,
Go figure.
so here we are.
All of 10 seconds.
Yeah, did not take long at all. But that's kind of the point, and kind of what I think we're going to be about. And
We already
just-
derailed. Shoot from the hip.
yeah, just a couple, bunch of geek guys talking about geek things. That's what we're going to be about. The 8-bit Atomic Geeks. I am the Tactical Geek. Name subject to change. I'm terrible with picking names, but Tactical Geek seems to be what I feel good with right now. That's what I'll be until otherwise. So if everybody else wants to go ahead, who you are, and then we'll kind of break off then into just more stuff. So yeah, I'm the Tactical Geek.
We're going to sit here and wait for one of us to go.
1, 2,
Okay.
3, go.
Yeah, that didn't work.
That didn't work at all. Okay, well I'll let y'all think about it. So
I am currently the Sound Geek, but I don't know if I'm going to stay that way.
okay.
I could be any number of different types of geeks.
Yeah, you there's a lot of different titles that would work for you.
But
We call you the Geek.
but for now, that's the Sound Geek. That's all we're gonna say right now, because that's all I can say. That's all I know to say.
Well, I mean, being the first episode, what more can you expect, especially when we're trying to really just get this launched? But I am going to go ahead and say I'm going to stay as the Voice Geek, mainly due to the fact that you're going to hear me do all sorts of random ass voices. I dropped our first cuss word that I'm aware of. And
I mean, we will cuss. I mean, I'm not intentionally avoiding cussing right now. It's just, it's gonna, it's gonna be tasteful. It's gonna be, it's gonna fit with the discussion. So, I'm not gonna Quentin Tarantino right out the gate.
True. I've often been told I have a face for radio and the voice to match. So we're going to go ahead and stay with the Voice Geek on that. Plus, I know a lot of voiceover information. It's one of my hobbies, I guess. I don't do it as a hobby or professionally or anything like that. Would love to. It would be a dream job. We'll see later down the road, but there you go. We'll just keep it at that.
There we
go.
You
may hear a little 9-year-old voice behind me because my son is sitting here stuck to me like glue. So
I just want to be part of this show.
he just wants to be part of the show. That's all he said.
And I don't think anybody will begrudge you that because, a lot of people have kids. If they got a problem with it, get out. Go on. I don't really care. We're talking, having a good time. That's what this is really going to be about as far as our channel goals and what we're doing. We're, we ain't out to be famous. We're just, like I said, a bunch of friends that we love our hobby and what we do. And we're just going to sit and shoot the bull. Kind of getting into a little bit more of the history, I guess, as the Tactical Geek, whatever, I've started, at the tail end of the Atari, basically, first run, Nintendo on into Super Nintendo, and, consoles, video gaming has been a part of my whole life. I've always had an attraction to 80s movies. Even though honestly, it's funny. As much as I go on about my love of 80s movies and those franchises, most of what I caught was on TV. I wasn't old enough for like hardly any of them, but I just had this natural attraction to those older franchises and movies. Um, so that's where a lot of my love comes in. We'll elaborate and get more into that. I will sip on a little whiskey as I talk and do these episodes. Currently, it's a bourbon, Jefferson's. I think it was recommended to me by a friend. I've almost finished the bottle. Not tonight. I'm doing really well if I had done the whole bottle.
Glad you clarified that.
Yeah, not the whole bottle tonight, because otherwise I'm doing pretty dang good if I had. So no, it's been a couple weeks. He recommended it to me. I'm about finished it off here, but it's a bourbon. I'm a whiskey connoisseur in training. I'm learning terms and learning stuff like that. But I'm by no means an expert. I've seen a few YouTube videos, so. Yeah. So as far as I guess kind of the format of what we're going to do, and the show, and it's aggravating me, the reflection. I intend to have sunglasses on when I do this. The hat, it's kind of going to be my brand, my persona. It's driving me up the wall that my screen is doing the whole Android eyes, laser eyes thing with my glasses. I didn't anticipate it when I started this. I think the general format is, we may, every episode we will alternate, talking about old movies and old video games, maybe, and even a little bit of new stuff, as it comes up, we'll be, still somewhat relevant, for current trending shows and that sort of thing. So, in fact, later towards the end of this episode, I think we'll get into Top Gun Maverick, that myself and the Voice Geek saw last night. So, and we'll keep it spoiler free for the Sound Geek and anybody else that hadn't seen it yet. So,
Sound Geek was supposed to be with us, but he did a bad thing.
Yeah.
And we'll let him talk about that if he wants to.
Oh,
Shane.
Yeah, you don't want to miscalculate when it comes to birthdays, especially those for significant others.
Important safety tip. Thank you.
Yeah, don't cross the streams.
That was our safety topic for the day.
Yeah, very, very important safety tip. You could even be the safety geek, at this point.
Right. This is true.
That's something else about us. As three friends, that have known each other for numerous, in some cases our entire lives, other cases, well over 20 years. We often will have, we'll just burst out in movie quotes and have entire conversations in movie quotes. So that can be kind of an expectation for us and what we're going to do. So, yeah.
You know what? Bonus points. Anyone who can throw in comments or what have you, what movies we take quotes from, that'd be great right there. So if you happen to hear a quote somewhere, throw it in there. Hey, this quote.
What the frick are we going to do about that crap?
That's not a quote.
You can quote him on that, but yeah.
It was just a question, Daddy.
So and most of this, obviously, first episode, channel of minimal subscribers. If you're watching this as the first episode, that there's your tip for future episodes.
Future tips for future episodes.
Yeah, throw in, if you catch what the reference is or whatnot. So, like I said, we're just doing this for fun.
But we mostly come out at night. Mostly.
We do. We really do, actually.
We
are night owls.
That's typically when things will happen, is at night.
A lot of stuff happens at night.
under the darkness, under the cover of night.
Yeah, you know, we ain't out to be famous. We're just, you know, a bunch of friends that, you know, we're just going to shoot the bull, see what happens. So, yeah, as far as, you know, just to kind of, you know, kind of get things talking a little bit, you know, as far as, you know, I talked a little bit my influences as far as, you know, the early video games and movies. I don't know, top 5, you know, and I know that's a really tight list. But you know, top 5 video games. Anybody want to throw some into the hat, toss some in, you know,
You
or at
know,
least
Top
I'll
5
have
video.
yeah, I'll have to give that a try because I mean that's considering how far back the gaming goes for me. Because I remember when Atari was the Atari cartridges, the games themselves were lined up on the walls like you would see games today, right? I remember seeing that. But I don't think video games for me like really did take off though until the NES. So when it comes to top 5, I got to put The Legend of Zelda in that top 5, the original NES Zelda.
What about Super Mario Bros.?
I will have to definitely put it. Well, yeah, thank you there, kiddo. But Super Mario Brothers 3, because I think it was Mario Brothers 3 that actually helped put Mario the way we know it today, with the map where you can choose your stage and the power-ups, and it had just a plethora of power-ups. It's one of my favorites. Final Fantasy IV. So we're moving ahead a little bit. I got to go Final Fantasy IV. It is the first game that put me in any type of RPG. And I'll have to say that it's been my influence moving forward for getting into any other type of RPG game, whether it's an actual D&D game, or if it's a JRPG, or if it's an MMO. That is what kicked it off. When it comes to 3 and 4, I'm really struggling. I'm drawing blanks. So I'll be happy to hear what you guys can throw into that list. What are we going to throw in the hat?
That's where I would say that obviously the Legend of Zelda is a very large swath. So you can add, you know, you could say, you know, retro wise, you could send Ocarina of Time obviously as one of the greatest, like most impactful games, just because of the newer open world, kind of like Mario 64. And that was kind of, you know, that was groundbreaking. It was like, holy crap, you know, you can roam around and actually like interact with, you know, the different mobs and stuff on the game, and you had a really good time with it. So I'd say that at least in a top 5, you have a good possibility of having Legend of Zelda on there at least twice. If you want to move into the newer games like Breath of the Wild, you know, all the way up to Switch, that one obviously is really good game, and it's aged fairly well, as all of them have, really.
well, I mean, it's like Breath of the Wild. I think what hooked me so much with that is, you know, Zeldas are great, the exploration, but I feel like Breath of the Wild was the first one to tap back into my imagination from the very first Legend of Zelda, of just tossing you out. Good luck.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
So,
That's the first one that truly tapped back into that. And Breath of the Wild made me feel like a kid again. I mean,
after all, it's dangerous to go alone.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
take this with you.
So, you know, I mean, you know, do you put Breath of the Wild in the top 5? I don't necessarily know, but I think with the Legend of Zelda, the original, yes, because it was that foundation.
Yeah.
And if you're talking as a franchise as a whole, yeah, obviously Zelda.
Well, I mean, even like their the Game Boy Advance ones, because you had like Minish Cap and
Minish Cap.
and then the Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. Both of those, I mean, well, all three of those were really dang good to be, on a mobile type platform like, a handheld.
The very first Zelda on a Game Boy was Link's Awakening, and it was
Link's Awakening is, I mean,
original brick gray Game Boy, the one that you could toss at someone and get a concussion and pick it up and it would still work
and turn it on and it still go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and and that's where I would almost say if you wanted to do a top 5, I would almost say you would want to include you wouldn't want to necessarily just limit it to the games, but maybe to that actual franchise. So you could just say The Legend of Zelda, not necessarily any one particular game.
I mean,
but you could also say Mario.
I'm not going to be so strict on the rules to say that your top 5 games has to be one singular game. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, coming from us, we didn't know how good we had it with that. It was just a game at that point, and then it's really in retrospect you realize the freedom they gave you with that one. That so many other NES games, Super Nintendo games, the open world stuff just didn't take off until much later.
It's true.
Yeah. So, definitely Zelda. Whether you want to talk franchise or singular, deserves a place in the top 5.
If you wanted to break it down, and that might be another different way to look at it too, is if you could break it down by console. So, what games were specific to the consoles?
A top 5 per console, you mean?
Yeah. And that would be an interesting way to look at it, because I mean, obviously, with Nintendo, you're going to have a lot of the stuff that Nintendo, that's kind of in their wheelhouse, like The Legend of Zelda, Mario, Yoshi games, Kirby, all of those. But then they also had some other stuff, like some of the old Data East stuff.
Bad dudes.
You had Bad Dudes,
Yeah.
I'm bird. But like there's a couple like Karnov, Jackal was one of my. I mean that one was just. It was as simple as it was. You're riding around in a Jeep blowing stuff up.
Jackal was Akiri warriors in a Jeep.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I loved Jackal. And so much I think. I often say, it's for me. There's a lot of memories attached to these games. They're not just games. There's I remember playing Jackal with my neighbor. He's the one that introduced me to it. And it's not just Jackal. It's my neighbor brought Jackal over. He let me borrow it. That was how I played Jackal. It was a fun game, but there's memories attached to a lot of this stuff too. And that's something I always like to throw out there and why some of this stuff is so important to us.
Would that neighbor's initials be SH?
Yes.
Yeah, shout out to SH. You know who you are.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. My, the 9-year-old geek back here behind me actually wanted to try and say something, so I'm going to let him say it if that's okay.
Yeah, I don't care.
Let the child speak.
Subscribe, or if you don't, I'll hunt you down. If I don't come to your house, you need milk.
Okay, there you go.
So honestly, it just sounds easier to like. It just sounds easier to like and subscribe.
Right. Didn't have a 9-year-old hunt you down and give you milk. Anywho, sorry about that.
As far as my top 5, I mean, obviously Zelda. The Mario franchise as a whole, or even I'm with Jones. Mario 3 is a big one. Because the biggest thing for me is I remember the wizard. and this ties, this crosses over into that whole the movie angle of what we want to talk about, but with the Wizard and the Mario 3 reveal in it, and with the lack of information we had back then, I mean, that was my intro to wait, Mario 3 exists? Whoa, wait a minute.
Right.
I got to go rent this thing, ask for it for my birthday.
Go to the Blockbuster.
Well,
whatever,
in our case,
whatever was close by.
It was the Blockbuster was a very rare treat for us. So it was the local, family operated
movies.
And thank God they had a video game section, because honestly, I probably wouldn't have played half of what I've had, what I've played, if it wasn't for them actually having a video game section. I'm glad they did.
It was either going to be at movies, or it was going to be in Granny's Videos, located in the local grocery store.
Yep.
Yeah,
that was the two places.
I think didn't Food Line have they did that for a little while.
They did.
Local Food Line, they were doing that.
It held out a long time, if I remember correctly.
Section you go up peruse, and they'd have section with games and movies.
Yeah, but like what the voice is saying, Mario 3, that tie-in, because in a lot of ways the Wizard, it validated what we do as a hobby, as something real. It wasn't just a toy, it wasn't just something for kids. It validated us. And you can argue. What was that? I'm sorry.
Oh no, sorry, I kind of cut you off. It made it mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah.
It went from basement dwellers, kind of like myself and my other kin that were big into doing well. I'm wanting to play games, playing either on the NES or the Sega Genesis, or even a touch older, our Odyssey or our Commodore 64, because we had those too. But yeah, I mean that was a big deal.
Yeah, and
to see something like that on the big screen, to actually go to the movie theater and watch it.
Yeah, and made to seem like it was normal. I've often said, we were kind of the we paved the way for a lot of people now, who take for granted how mainstream video games is. There was a time you were bullied for this crap,
Yeah.
Hey, you're welcome.
Right. They take for granted how mainstream video games is, and we used to be bullied for this stuff, for holding on to our video games, on in the middle. And at the time that I went through high school, it really kicked off, because that was the PlayStation era, and PlayStation, exploded everything.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah, but
Madonna.
the Wizard validated a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say Cone Boob Raider.
Boob Raider. Those pyramid shaped boobies. Kids today will never understand.
No.
How can we make sure that she looks like she has really big breasts? Well, we can put these cones on the front of her. That's realistic, right?
Really,
right, guys?
Pointy. Yeah.
Right. But
then lo and behold, Madonna come out and just proved everybody right.
Pretty much, yeah. But now the Wizard validated a lot for us, and that Mario 3 connection puts Mario 3 very high for me. And of course, I remember, after watching it, I'm like, does that cheat code really work? Is there really a secret there? And holy crap, it was there. It worked.
That movie showed everybody out there how to get that first whistle in Mario Brothers 3.
Absolutely. So, for me, and I've said this for a number of years, it's never changed. But for me, That glare is awful.
It is
There we
horrid.
go.
Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger. I mean, that will always be in my top 5, if not number 1. Always. I will say it is the perfect game. I mean, it was lightning in a bottle. I admit I have never played Chrono Cross. It just hit at the wrong time. There he is. He is showing off his Mario 3. I've still got mine. But yeah, Chrono Trigger for me is easily number 1. Will always be in that top tier. I'm currently in the middle of a playthrough of it. But yeah, memories attached to this. I mean, I don't own Final Fantasy 4. I don't own Final Fantasy 6 /3. But I remember, the voice here having it, and I remember watching it with him, and I have those memories, sitting, watching you play it. And so for me, what's so special about Chrono Trigger was because you kind of you kickstarted that for me. And while I never went back and actually got, Final Fantasy 2 or Final Fantasy 3, 4/6, whatever, however we want to do this these days. Chrono Trigger was the first JRPG I bought. I owned, so that's why that one's so special to me, and the Final Fantasies are special too, and they're, I'm with you. 4 has a very special place. It's to me in a top 5 position. But yeah, Chrono Trigger, it not only is it to me a perfect game, but it's special because that was that first JRPG I bought thanks to your influence. So yeah.
I'm touched in a good way.
Yeah.
Good way.
It's a good touch.
That's one thing I can say that I never really, I've actually never played a Final Fantasy game.
Get out.
No, not one. I haven't done it. And it's not because I haven't wanted to. It's just I had never done it.
They are. I've tried to convince people that who don't find the format attractive. The menu based. They're like, I need something more action. I'm like, treat a Final Fantasy like a good book.
Yes.
If you approach it like a book,
that's the thing is like the first real RPG that I played was Mario.
Okay.
Mario RPG.
Yeah.
And I can just tell you, I mean, my first like delve off into a RPG, that one is the one that really sticks in my brain. That says, I would love to go back and play that again. And there's RPGs that I've played that I've been like, I will never touch that again.
Ever.
There's they get too convoluted sometimes, they go deep in a rabbit hole, and it's just, I don't know, sometimes simplicity can be a good thing. And that's what I always argue for with the earlier Final Fantasies and Chrono Trigger. They were very simple systems at their core, but could get very complex if you did your homework.
1, 2, and 3 for Final Fantasy was a turn-based, and it wasn't until 4 where they actually introduced the ATB system, or active time battle system, where your characters actually had a speed stat and the monsters had a speed stat, and the order that they attacked was all based on how fast that character was. And then it just kind of continued from there. Now, I'll admit that anything after 10, I haven't touched it. So
yeah. I tried 15, and I'm sorry. I know it has a lot of fans. I just couldn't get into it. And maybe there's this old school part of me that just wants to dive back into that younger me and play in, basically 4 through, I'll even go as high as 9, because I never really played 10 that much. I'll go as high as 9. But there's that part of me that wants to tie into that, and 15.
The only thing enjoyable I found, or that I've heard about 10, is that they did a really good job They did a really good job with the trailer for it.
I knew where you were going with that. Those trailers, those commercials during WWE, during Raw.
Mhm.
And that made me really want to play Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
The Lulu boobs didn't help none or hurt none.
Yeah. Oh no, not at all. Not at all.
But
Was,
yeah, I mean,
there was nothing about that made me want to, buy two of the games and put them close together and stick my face in between them.
Right. Sorry, I'm being a typical guy. My apologies. I swear
Stop
I'm not
being
a jerk.
so toxic, Jones.
I know.
Well, look, it's probably best early on if we kind of establish exactly who we are, and people
Hey,
that want to.
Everybody likes boobies. We have established this. Everybody.
It is what it is, man.
It is what it is.
We can be rude, crude, and socially unacceptable, but the thing is, there's not really one of us that hasn't dropped what we were doing to go help the other out. So keep that in mind,
Yeah.
Being rude, crude, and unacceptable doesn't mean you're a horrible person.
Exactly.
It just means you're colorful.
Tell that to Twitter these days.
It just means you're colorful. That's it.
Just because you say things that are mean doesn't mean you are mean. Doesn't mean.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy X. I really like the previews for it, but I never played it.
Yeah. I got an hour into it and I just dropped it, and I don't, I know it has its fans too, and I don't know. I couldn't get into it. Maybe I need to take another stab at it someday. But yeah, going back to what I was saying about 15, I tried it and I just couldn't get into it compared to, what I love about Final Fantasy, which is honestly that 4 through 9 era. And shoot, if I was stuck on a desert island, if I had copies of Final Fantasy 4, 6, and Chrono Trigger, I'd be set because I could just replay those games all day long, every day, forever. I'd be happy.
Well, maybe one extended episode we can sit down and I can play through the Final Fantasy of your choice.
Yeah, honestly, I would if you're going to start with one, I would recommend 4 because
that's what I was going to recommend.
Well, because it doesn't get as convoluted as some of the later ones. It's a pretty simple, straightforward story, but it's good. It's really good, and it introduces a lot of stuff that comes in later.
It does. The class system is simple. The characters are likable. I mean, it's the first video game. I'm gonna kind of put my heart on my sleeve here. It's the first video game that actually brought tears to my eyes.
They tapped into your emotions on it. Yeah,
those golden little kid twins. They brought tears to my eyes, and it does. I
think the first one that actually brought tears to my eyes was the death of Arthur Morgan.
Oh yeah, that was hard.
That made me so sad.
Oh gosh, that was hard. And you knew it was coming.
If there was ever a story that I was just like, please, for the love, let some wizard come in and resurrect this dude.
Bring in Gandalf to save this man.
Let some DBZ moment come in and they wish on the Dragon Balls and Arthur Morgan comes back in and everybody's good.
Yeah.
But nope.
I know that was, and you knew it was coming.
You did.
Well, that's the thing is that even the character development, and that really says a lot about stuff. It's the character development in the characters, even if it's an old school game and they were little 8-bit pixel art basically running around on a screen.
Well, that's what I would say about
story.
Yeah,
that's what I would say about those early Final Fantasies. 4 and 6 that's where you really start to see some of your earliest character development in a video game, in my mind. And oh yeah, you will find somebody you like in those games and get attached to.
Cecil in Final Fantasy IV just, I don't know why, stuck out for me. And he is the reason that I have just this, I don't know, this infatuation with Paladins.
Oh no, I totally get it. If there's a game that I can roll a Paladin, I'm playing a Paladin every single time.
It's World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I played a
roll
Paladin. I played a Paladin in World of Warcraft when Paladins were garbage, and the only thing they could do was heal.
Preach it,
But,
brother.
So yeah, definitely. But,
And I refused. I was staying back there in a crap heal spec, all because I wanted Reckoning. But anyway.
Hey, I mean, you know, I did my stupid spamming the little flash heals, but by God, when it come time, I threw in my DKP for weapons, for attack weapons, you know, stuff that was not meant for me, but I did it anyway because, like, nah, I'm a paladin. I'm supposed to go in and smash stuff.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, they I don't know. They went through spells where they'd just nerf the crap out of them, and they would be absolutely useless.
Yeah,
But then they'd turn around and they would fix it, and they would kind of try to balance it out, and you would have basically what a paladin, you know, a true to form paladin.
Yeah.
They could heal, and you know, really strong, like against, you know, undead and stuff like that. And I mean, that was a lot of what their focus was, but they were good at hand-to-hand combat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was like first and foremost. They were supposed to be able to, you know, take a big axe or a sword or something, hammer, and go in and just start whomping.
Kill all the undead. Yeah.
Their whole purpose was to go in and destroy evil. And then in order to do that, they take whatever weapon they had and split that evil's face with it wide open. And the thing is if you were particularly evil, they would have the ability to heal you back up and split your face back again. But anyway.
Well, you know, and circling back to Final Fantasy, that's what I loved about, you know, and granted it would work with Rosa too, but you know, with Cecil, oh hey, an undead enemy. Well, I'll just cast life on you.
Right.
Instant death.
Done. One of my favorite tricks on that was in Mount Ordell when you first transition to a paladin. The thing is all your characters that you were running with at that time would be like level anywhere from 15 to 25, depending on how you were
pretty low. Yeah.
But as soon as he turned into a paladin, level 1.
Oh, I know.
And so you had to level him up. And so my favorite tactic would be I'd get him to about level 10 with the group, and then I would kill off the group except for him. And he could stay on that mountain fighting undead all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And if a group of zombies came in, I would just hit them with a mass cure or healing spell, wipe them out, get massive amounts of experience. I would not leave that mountaintop until he was level 40.
At least 40. You taught me that trick, and it made the whole rest of the game a breeze. And maybe that wasn't exactly the point, but you know, at that point, I'm like, I'm following the story. You know,
it sounds like a certain anime where an overly cautious hero is overly cautious, and he sets and levels up long before he ever does any fighting.
Yeah. So
it did.
Well, that was
made that next section a lot easier.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, it helped you so much. Yeah, and honestly, and I mean, this whole past 20 minutes has been one heck of a tangent, and I'm fine with that because that's the nature of what I want to do with this program. You would do that, and if you got that lead, it made the wall so much easier in that game.
I hated that boss.
The wall, honestly, to me was harder than Zeramus.
Yes.
If you weren't leveled right, the wall was the worst boss in the game. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't play it right at the time. But once I got past the wall, the rest of the game was nothing.
The wall is your OG DPS check. Like in World of Warcraft, you'd have those raid bosses that this is your DPS check. If you don't have enough damage per second to push through this, you're not going to make it through the rest of this dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
The wall is your original DPS check.
Yeah, exactly. And it just, So to me, it was worth it to do what you taught me on Mount Ordeals. And the rest of the game was nothing. So
It's good times.
But
I also feel like you can't put together a list without putting either Metroid or Castlevania on it. One of
absolutely.
of them. Metroidvania, however you want to go with that. Got to have those on there because that also defines
Uncle Vlad's wall meat.
Got to have Uncle Vlad's wall meat.
Yep.
There's nothing tastier and more healthier than wall meat.
Yeah. It can restore hearts like crazy.
I don't know what we would do without save states for that franchise. I mean,
oh gosh,
it's one of those things. It's like
any of those.
You know the mechanics, you know what you got to do, and it's just so, in my mind, luck driven.
Mm-hmm.
Without the save state, it's just like, damn it, I know what I got to do.
Why can't I do it?
I'm tired. Well, I'm tired of replaying this level and having bad luck here or there, and just not having enough juice for death. Is what comes to mind for me. Just not having enough juice for death, and of course death was random. Honestly, I found death harder than Dracula, but
right.
But yeah, it's like without save states, it was just a time thing. You knew what to do.
It's just too bad we didn't know then what we know now. I mean, who knew that death in the original Castlevania game could be such a cakewalk if all you had was the holy water and the Roman numeral 3 power up?
Right. Oh my gosh. Well, and that's one of those things. It's like, we grew up at that time where it's like, you just got to figure this shit out for yourself. Good luck. Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Mega Man.
Yes.
The whole franchise.
Well,
all the way up to 10.
Even Mega Man ain't that bad. I mean, going when you think about like Simon's Quest.
So
how in the hell are you supposed to know half the shit they want you to do in that game without a guide? Hey, go stand on this random block, crouch, pray to God, do everything you got to do, and you get this beneficial power up.
Right? Like, how do you know that?
How would you know? How would you ever know with what we had back then?
Somebody, I guess, probably went over and crouched down, and then all of a sudden, boom, and then.
I mean, how?
I don't know. Maybe totally by accident.
Maybe that was a thing that the Nintendo counselors, had to do, and that was a thing growing up. It's like, I want to be a Nintendo counselor. Surely that pays like amazing money, and that would be awesome. Just play video games all day.
Turns out it's your typical 9-to-5,
yeah,
wage.
I've watched the YouTube videos, the documentaries on that. Yeah.
It was not as glamorous as we thought it was.
No, but as as an 8-year-old, it's like, that's what I want to be. I can do that. And I mean, I guess
a fireman. Nope.
I guess when you had that time, I guess you could literally just walk on every single block and try every single action until you found what you needed. I don't know. Simon's Quest is what sticks out in my mind as the bullshit. Like, how was any of us ever expected to beat that out the gate?
Though I do have a theory. The thing is most of these games like Castlevania and the original Legend of Zelda, they were all released in Japan first. And of course, that bearing in mind, the original language these games were made in was in Japanese. And so
There was definitely translation issues.
Yeah, over there, the game when it gave you
I
clues,
am error.
yes,
All your base are belong to us.
when
Yeah.
whenever
Make your
you read
time.
the clue or the hint, it actually made sense. And then the translation, though, was so horrible over here. The clue made 0 sense. It led you nowhere near what it was supposed to be.
I mean-
and so we had that to contend with.
With that, if anybody actually legitimately beat it back then,
You were
off
a
of
god.
what we had, I mean, you're damn legendary. You're freaking god mode. I mean, you're awesome.
You are the wizard.
I couldn't do it. I mean, I just kind of ran around with Simon's Quest. At least the others were linear enough that it's like, okay, I know if I get to the end of this, I'm going to fight a boss and I'm going to the next level. Easy enough.
You know, it's sad. I cannot remember what the very first game I beat was.
Well, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I don't recall. I'm trying to think in my mind the games I had at the time. I for some reason want to think it was Super Mario Brothers 2. Of course, the Doki Doki Panic version,
Right.
Mario Brothers 2. But I can't say for certain.
See, I really like Mario 2.
I love Mario 2. I love it.
And it did look weird in comparison to Mario, the first one, Super Mario Brothers.
1 and 3, right.
And then when 3 came out, it really looked weird because it was like, why did you switch to this and then go back to that, go to this?
I mean, and that's the thing,
that totally reinvented yourself. But
back
of course, then later on we find out that the second one wasn't originally a Mario game.
We didn't know. It was just like, oh well, it's a graphics improvement. Okay, it's some new enemies or new enemies. Cool, whatever. Yeah, we didn't know.
They passed it off as a dream.
I'm with you. I have a very soft spot in my heart for Mario 2.
It was just a dream.
Yep, and it was just a dream.
Yeah, and to this day, I still think that they need to reintroduce Wart into the series.
I agree. Bringing back, I mean, Mario has his original OG enemy that is now, I guess, a frenemy, Donkey Kong,
right,
whatever the case may be. And then Bowser, and they teamed up in Mario RPG, but Wart. Let's bring back Wart. Introduce a whole new dynamic to the entire crew and make Donkey Kong and Bowser crap themselves.
Right. I really do think that's a missed opportunity with the Mario franchise. But yeah. So.
And there's the whole story with Mario. I mean, you got Super Mario Brothers, who is the original telling. Mario Brothers 2 for us ended up just being a dream. And then Super Mario Brothers 3, if you look at it, it has its curtain on the title screen, and it looks like some of the parts of the background are bolted up by bolts. And so the theory with it is that it's actually a stage play that is retelling the first Super Mario Brothers game.
I don't know that I've ever made that connection.
Yeah. I actually, I was reading through some of the fan theories and stuff like that, and some of it they've actually got, like, the creator originally. He actually kind of confirmed some of it, like the part about the Mario 2 just being a dream, and then in a dream world, and that's why you've got basically like you go into the inverse of the like behind everything. So like when you're going through a door and you go through the door and it literally just inverses everything on the screen. So like you're in this darker, like world. Not so well lit version of what's going on the backside.
Right.
Of everything.
They're play on words on that too. That world of Mario Brothers 2 was called Subcon. Subconscious.
Yeah.
So I love their play on words.
Yeah. No, I definitely I love Mario 2. I spent a lot of time with that game.
Yeah, Mario 3 with the, it had the curtain and everything, and that was supposed to be like a stage play. I remember hearing that or seeing something about it, and I thought, I was like, I never really made that connection either. And then of course after I got, after I said that, I actually picked up. I had a copy of it here at the house, and so I just popped it in and started playing, and I was like, holy crap. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
I think it was the 3DS version. What I had.
Okay.
That was readily available at the time.
Good times. Good times.
So we'll go ahead and because we're doing great, and if you've watched this much, we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and hop on into Top Gun. If you clicked on this for Top Gun, God bless you for making it 51 minutes waiting for Top Gun. But we'll go ahead and try and start heading towards a wrap up. Between three friends, this is what I'm looking for. Just good chatter around the stuff we love, and it's wherever the adventure takes us, it takes us. But yeah, we'll try and wrap this one up, for episode 1. So yeah, we'll go ahead and shift on over to Top Gun. We'll keep it spoiler free for the Sound Geek. But Top Gun was amazing. I would happily watch that one again. There's your hint, Sound Geek.
Yes.
Well,
I told him the same thing earlier.
There is the whole thing of a possibility of maybe going in the next day or two.
Okay. It's a long weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend.
Long weekend. So
not for me.
I'm plotting on trying to catch it because my a friend of another friend of ours of my family's, they went and saw it as well, and actually got to see it in a theater that has like movement.
Mm-hmm.
So like the seats would move with you as you were,
oh man,
in the jets and stuff. And she was Air Force brat, so she got to hear a lot of the jets and stuff like that and everything else. And she actually said she actually cried during the some of the scenes with like the F-14s, and said it was just the the rumble of the jets and then the movement and everything else. It's just like, you've got to go see this movie. It is absolutely awesome. I'm like, well, if I go see it, I'm not gonna have moving seats. She goes, it's okay.
Yeah,
you'll still enjoy it. It's still a good movie.
I don't know. Moving seats in that movie is a good way to turn your popcorn into yak corn. So I'm not exactly no.
Yeah,
yeah, but no,
I don't think it was like full on
more like a rumble pack with Star Fox, just kind of a
yeah, just kind of
add some texture to it.
Something's going on when your butt starts vibrating.
Right. But now,
either you need to go to the bathroom or there's some jet noise.
Yeah. No, Top Gun was absolutely amazing. It's everything that a sequel should be, especially in today's times. And with I guess kind of the checkbox filmmaking that Hollywood likes to do now. No, Top Gun was everything it should have been. From the very first moment, hearing that anthem when it kicks off, and straightforward, it's perfect.
I literally looked over at Tactical and said, well, what if they had the Top Gun anthem in this movie, I'll be happy. And then as soon as it hit, boom, that's the first thing that you heard. And I looked at him and go, well, I'm good. I can go home now.
We can walk. knock my mic over. We could have walked out of the theater and been happy at that point, just for getting at least that much.
Yeah. Oh, but
And
it
they
got better.
just kept getting it right. Mark after mark after mark, checkpoint after checkpoint after checkpoint. It was fun. It's what Hollywood should be. It was a fun movie, and it's what 80s movies were to me. It was amazing. I would gladly go see that movie again.
Same.
They didn't do the bullshit. Let's deconstruct a character, that's been around for forever and has a million billion fans. They didn't Jean-Luc Picard Maverick. They didn't Luke Skywalker Maverick. Maverick throughout the whole movie was Maverick.
He stayed a badass. Yeah, he had his moments where he got knocked down a peg here and there.
Yeah.
But he was still a badass in that jet.
And he showed it. It's like, God, I love that movie. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't have walked away any happier from Top Gun Maverick in today's Hollywood, the way they want to do things.
Just remember Goose.
Oh, they remember Goose. I'm
Goose,
not going to spoil it, but my gosh, do they remember Goose to the point that you'll cry.
I was like, oh my God in heaven.
And they even, and this was, something, as I've thought about it, as I've let it stew, with the way they want to checkbox things with Hollywood now. They even did that in the right way, with certain characters. Like, you know what? Everybody here is Top Gun. Everybody here is a badass.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to beat it over anybody's head. You don't have to make anybody perfect. You don't have to, neuter other characters. We get these characters are badasses. That's why they're here. They still had their flaws. They weren't perfect. Nobody's perfect. And it was better for it. Like, I loved the female pilot, for example. And I'm terrible with names. That's a universal constant with me. Phoenix. Yes, thank you.
Yep.
I loved Phoenix. Because they didn't. She was what Hollywood should be striving for, with the strong female character. Where they want to neuter everybody else around her to make her perfect. No. Phoenix was outstanding. She was still strong, but like any of us, has imperfections and weaknesses.
Still flawed.
Yeah, that's any of us. Still flawed, but was strong. I loved Phoenix. She was great. And we weren't beat over the head with this messaging and this checkboxing that Hollywood likes to do. And no, Phoenix was great. That's how you do it. That's how you do it correctly. And kind of tying back to the theme of the channel and what we are, I look to the Ellen Ripleys, the Samus Arans. They're strong characters without, they're not perfect out the gate, and they don't neuter everyone around them just to try and push the story forward that, they're so perfect. No. Phoenix was awesome. They didn't do any of that crap.
She came in owning people around her, but the thing is the people around her were also doing their own ownage. They were all on an even level playing field. Yeah.
And the biggest thing as I walked away from it was we didn't neuter Maverick like we did Jean-Luc Picard or Luke Skywalker. Or Doctor Strange. Yeah. We didn't neuter Maverick. And there were times, yeah, you could see where, you know, Maverick was putting things together like, yeah, you know what? I am getting older. I am a little bit wiser, but I'm still Maverick. And he was still Maverick throughout the movie.
Those two lines. What were you thinking? You told me not to think. Silence.
Like, I know. I told you that.
I
I'm
told
so
you that.
sorry.
It's good to see
And
you.
but yeah. I mean, it was just like this was the Maverick we should have got 30 something years later, almost 40. Yeah, and you didn't feel beat down or depressed or anything over it. This was still Maverick, and you loved it. It was just a fun movie. I got to check out, and honestly, I mean, I guess at the end of it, the biggest surprise was how balls to the wall they went at the end.
Oh yeah.
When I thought they could have played it safe, and I'm just like, oh, they're going this route. They're doing this. And I'm just like, I don't care. I'm having a blast. And yeah, they do it. They pull it off with that final, I don't know what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah, give or take.
You know, where they could have played it safe and they didn't. They just went over the top. Again, balls to the wall. And no, it was a great movie. I would happily see it again. I will consider it part of the continuity. You know, Top Gun 1, there is an absolutely Top Gun 2, Top Gun Maverick, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, no, I had an absolute blast with that movie. And
that last part of the movie is an awesome, excellent throwback to Top Gun 1, to the 80s in general, and to just general old schoolness. And
yeah,
it follows the theme of it's not necessarily the plane, it's the pilot.
it's the pilot. And I don't care what sex or gender, or, sex, gender, whatever, same thing. Yeah, I don't care about your background. It's the pilot, it's the character, it's the person that's behind this. You know, and I loved, you know, every single one of those pilots by the end.
Even Hangman.
I mean, because they wrote him in a way that was just like, yeah, I mean, you couldn't help but love him.
You wanted to backhand the dude and hug him all at the same time. It's just,
it's a lost art, and I hope Hollywood pays attention and sees what they're getting from this, and maybe someday figures this crap out. Because yeah, I mean, Top Gun was the movie we deserved. Absolutely, it was worth the wait. Like I said, I'll gladly go see it again.
I will give a small spoiler. You will see 3 characters alive in this movie that you saw in the first one. There
Yep.
you go. That's all I'm going to give you. There are 3 characters in the first movie that you'll see again living in this second one.
And yeah, I mean, I can't help but think, and I didn't think about it last night. It didn't click with me, and then suddenly at some point today, it did click with me. I can't help but think how much fun my dad would have had with this movie.
This is true.
Because he loved 2 movies. You know, and the only 2 movies I can think of that he really connected with growing up. But Caddyshack and Top Gun. Caddyshack and Top Gun. And I can't help but think how much I think Dad would have enjoyed this movie.
I'm all right. Nobody worry about me.
Yep.
Mine would be rolling over in his grave after he saw what they did with Picard. So, you know, I think he's probably happy right where he's at.
Yeah. I've not heard great things about Picard, but yeah. Yeah, it didn't occur to me until sometime today that it just clicked with me that yeah, I think Dad would have really liked this Top Gun. So
Well, I'm going to attempt to go watch it very soon.
yeah,
Yes, have some.
yeah, no, definitely,
Yes.
definitely go check it out. I can't give it any higher thumbs up, and similar to Ghostbusters Afterlife with
Okay.
what it
Yeah, that's what I was kind of drawn when I heard you when I was listening to you just a minute ago. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, this is reminiscent of how I felt about Ghostbusters.
Yes.
yeah.
In that, yeah, it was a long time coming, and it really did pay homage to the old school cast, but it did open up,
For the new.
for a
That's what I wish.
new era.
That's what I wish Hollywood and honestly, I will say the Twitter mob would understand. It's like, I'm not opposed to change, but do it in a respectful way that doesn't shit on the people that have supported these franchises for years and years and years. Just do it in a way that's not stupid. For lack of a better term. But no, I mean, Ghostbusters is the same thing. It's like,
when I think about going to see a movie, or I mean, and this goes for anything: going to see a movie, going to play a video game, going to read a book, anything that's basically for me to unplug and check out from reality. That's what I expect.
mhm.
That's what I want to pay my money for.
You need to be able to enjoy it, go into
If
your
I'm-
zone, be in your happy place, and
Yeah,
feel like you
if I'm going to go
wasted your money
watch
to do
a sci-fi movie, I don't, it's like I don't understand how some of this I just want to say, like, politics, like the crap, the day-to-day stuff that people are having to put up with right now in life. Why would you want to bombard them with that when all they're looking for is just a little time to check out?
Escapism. That's the key word. Escapism.
Yeah.
That's what movies are
just to
for.
check out and say, hey,
They want the release.
all this crap's going to be out here waiting on me when I get out of the movie. But you know what? I'm going to have, an hour and 45 minutes or so, maybe 2 hours, just to chill out, maybe hang with some folks that I don't get to see on a regular basis, and just put the world away for a couple hours.
Yeah.
You don't want to go into a movie and be hit with a political agenda.
No. And I'm
Well, I
tired
mean,
of it.
and it's not necessarily just political. It also, I mean, it boils down into just like they're almost wanting to teach people, moral lessons or some kind of something. It's like, no, I that's not what I want to pay my money for.
Mhm.
If I want to go, learn something, I'll go take a class. If I want, if I want to sit back and, I want to sit back and watch a dude literally, like, just slap on a keyboard and hack into the Pentagon or something, in 10 seconds flat. That's what I want to see. I know it's bullcrap, but I mean, still, it's.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like Top Gun. It's like some of the stuff they were doing in the movie. It's like, I know this is bullcrap, but by God, I'm having a blast.
Yeah, I mean, I equate it a lot to like the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, at first it was like they're racing, and it's like, no, that's not really. I'm not really sure that's how that works. To, you get on into the later ones, and it's like, holy crap, that's just over the top. Like, I mean, like completely over the top. Like you're nuking the fridge and jumping the shark, and all in one motion. But it's like some of the other movies that Jason Statham was in with was it Crank? I think it was
Crank,
Transporter. Some of that stuff was just like, it was so over the top. It was totally unbelievable. But you know what? in that time, in that world where they're building, anything, but basically gravity doesn't have to exist for that split second, or physics doesn't have to actually apply the way it applies in normal life for that split second.
You go to a movie to get away from reality. At least I do, anyway. And
I do too. I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like,
and I've never been one for the whole. And I get certain folks wanting that like really deep intellectual. No, for me, I'm a popcorn movie guy. I just want to have fun, and I'm not knocking that crowd that likes their intellectual, deep thinking style of movie. I'm not, and there's a lot of movies in that category I do love, but for the most part, in general, I just want to go and check out and have fun.
Well, they had. I mean, like, I remember, back when I was younger, they would have these, these. They were very kind of artsy, or very deep, very moving, very, they were more like bringing theater, like, actual theater into the movies.
I'm sorry, but I have to be right back. Keep talking, keep going. I will be right back.
So
he's old. He's got to take a crap.
Yeah. Anyway, so like, they would have these really deep, artsy movies, and they played. That's who they were playing to. Was a specific crowd, and so they say, well, if we can incorporate some of this into this, then we can pull in this crowd and this crowd. Well, some of that works, some of that doesn't. If you've got a crazy sci-fi action flick, putting a very deep, meaningful, heartfelt, tug on your heartstrings love story right in the middle of it, probably not going to work out too well. Because that's not what the action people are wanting to see.
Right.
And on the split, on the flip side of that, the people who were there for that portion of it, they're not really worried about all the action scenes. And then if you're trying to make the action, hop up the action where you've got this, the blood and the gore and everything else going on, so people, so you really play into that that action, beat 'em up, bang bang, crowd. You're gonna basically tick off the people who were there for the love story,
right? And the thing
because
is,
then it's too rough. It's too vulgar, too gross, too rough, too much blood, too much gore. So what's your choice?
They're not exactly leaning over to the person next to them, going, "They're doing that to everybody because they love them. They're blowing them up because they love her." Or she loves him.
They're fighting for her honor. I think they quit fighting for her honor like, half hour ago, dude.
After they went and beheaded these first 5 people, I don't think they're fighting for honor anymore. They're fighting not because they mad.
I think that's extreme rage. that's what I guess that
to the kind of love as well. Like, I mean, for instance, Commando. Take a look at it. Arnold Schwarzenegger's character went in and took out all those people because his daughter was kidnapped, right? Is that what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Am I thinking correctly? So yeah, he went in there and blew up all those people and shot all those people and put that big old pipe through that guy's stomach because he loved her, most definitely. But it's a different kind of love. You don't mess with someone's kid. Bottom line.
Yep. Well, I mean, but that's a different kind of emotional response that you're looking for out of people.
True.
And that's kind of the whole thing is that if you're trying to you're trying to point towards different emotional responses from different folks, and then you're trying to just mash them up together. You know, sometimes, like I said, sometimes they lend themselves very well to one another. Sometimes they don't.
Mixing
And
genres, there are only certain genres that can mix well with others, and you can only take that so far. I mean, you try to mix so many, it's going to end up falling apart at some point.
yeah, well, and that's kind of where I think it's like a money game. It's like how many different target audiences can we target and get them to come watch this movie, and then the movie basically end up being garbage because you've literally got 5 different movies for 5 different audiences all crammed into one movie.
Mm-hmm.
So the person who's coming for the action and the kick butt, they're only going to get about 25 minutes,
If
of the
that.
movie, if that,
I'm coming in
And
on
then-
just
and then-
enough to understand probably where you are.
yeah, I mean, it's just that's what they're going to end up getting, and then these people over here that are, this is what I'm here for. Well, they're going to get 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, but the story, it's like, why is this dude fighting? And now over here, he's, in the first 20 minutes, he's a badass. And then the last 2 hours, the dude's the biggest pansy that walked the face of the earth.
And I know I'm coming in the
makes
middle,
sense.
but that's what I liked about Top Gun Maverick is like throughout the whole movie, we didn't feel this necessity to neuter him.
Nope.
It was Maverick.
And it had a love interest in it. They did it well. It was tasteful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, don't get me wrong on that. There's nothing wrong with having a love interest inside of an action, that kind of movie, an action movie. It's just, you got to know kind of how to direct it, in the sense that you want to show that there's attraction. You want to show that there's chemistry, but you don't necessarily want to make the entirety of the movie just about setting that up,
Right.
where everything else plays second fiddle or third fiddle for that point.
And I feel like they did that well in Top Gun Maverick, and and she held her own. I mean, it's another case of they did it well. It wasn't.
Well, that makes me happy.
Yeah, I mean,
Makes me look forward to going to seeing it even more. I mean, really.
I mean, and honestly, I mean, Jennifer Connelly's character.
Another example of a good, strong female character doing exactly what she feels that she needs to do in the world and making it.
And yeah, I mean, it's like, everybody wants to say like we're opposed to strong female characters. So like, no, I'm opposed to bad writing, where the only way you feel you can establish your strong female character is by making them, one, perfect and having no story arc to learn anything that literally every other character in literature, movies, whatever has to learn. You make them perfect, and then you got to crap all over every other character in a way that's like no, I'm not opposed to strong female characters. I love them. I've grown up on them. Again, Ripley, Samus Aran. I can go on a while with these. It just, but make the writing make sense. And any character, male or female, has imperfections, has issues. That's the point of telling the story, is so they grow or you learn about them. And yeah, it's just, I don't have an issue with strong female characters. I have an issue with bad writing.
Right.
And I loved all the female characters in Top Gun Maverick, because they were finally, compared to so much crap we've been given, they were finally written in a way that it's like, I love these girls.
you don't make a character, whether it's male or female or human or alien or whatever the case may be, a strong character because everyone else around them is lesser. You make a character a strong character because everyone else around them is also a strong character.
And that's what I felt like they were establishing early on when they called this Top Gun class. You know, this was basically a Top Gun class of the Top Guns. You know, like very early on, they established that, look, everyone here is a badass. So
every single person that was picked for that particular story that they had going on, or for what was happening in the movie, was someone who graduated top of their class from Top Gun.
Yeah, you ain't got to tell me that Phoenix or anybody else is a badass. You've established that. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to neuter any other characters. I get it. They're all there because they're badasses. So, yeah.
The best of the best.
The best of the best. Yeah. But no, you'll love it, Sound Geek. You'll love it. Like I said, I would easily go back and see it again if it lines up. So, with that, I think we're probably at a good point to go ahead and wrap up. Honestly, I feel like this was a great first episode. We've gone on for almost an hour and a half, and that's kind of my goal. Like, we don't have to have a set time. We're just going to sit. We're just going to talk about the stuff we love.
It was a little easier than I thought it would be. I figured that at some point or another we'd be sitting here and all you'd hear is, you know, but hey, there we go.
I think a lot of that lends to the fact that we know each other and we can keep that dialogue going, and hopefully it'll be interesting for an audience. We've had 0 viewers during this live broadcast.
Well, it's also 2 a.m.
I expected that. It's not a big deal. You know, the main thing was we wanted to get some content out there to hopefully start bringing in people. I don't know that we're far enough along to say that we will have a set time every week, every 2 weeks, every month that we will do this. You know, my thought, I'm in the camp of quality over quantity. So,
don't get us wrong. We're not saying we're very high quality either. So, you know,
yeah, we're not just going to like spam stuff every other day. But you know, we'll try and give a little bit of notice. But for the most part, right now, I think we're going to try and capitalize on, just watching the videos after the fact. And then hopefully we can get to a point where we can maybe, announce that, hey, we're going to go live this Friday or this Saturday and do a live show.
At some point or another, we'll finally be cooking with propane.
And there it is. There is the Voice Geek right there.
I don't know you.
That's my purse.
That's my purse.
But no, I think it was a great first episode. Like I said, the Tactical Geek on Twitter is when I will try and announce maybe a live or whatnot. But ideally we will alternate between movies and video games, try and keep it a little bit fresh, as far as what we want to talk about. But no, I think it was a great first episode. If you've watched this long, we really, really appreciate it. Hopefully you found us entertaining. Hopefully you found our content entertaining. Click the like button, click the subscribe button. The subscribe button and like button is definitely very important right now. If we do this for 3 months and we're still at 0 of likes, subscribers, viewers, obviously we can do this without going live and have this very same conversation.
It is what it is.
But if we get that feedback and see that we're getting, kind of that positive, hey, we are doing something kind of cool, people are interested, then we will definitely continue. But without that, honestly, this would be our normal Xbox Live chat every night. minus a few other characters. So
Who you never know may pop in at some point or another here and there.
yeah,
May.
Yeah.
that's exactly it. This is not the entirety of our potential geek crew. There may be others that we can chime in, and and bring in for discussion. But yeah, I'll try and post. Ideally, I think next week we might do, or not next week, next episode. I'm not committing to an episode next week. But I think in the title and description we said Top Gun. If you watched for an hour to finally get to Top Gun, God bless you. But yeah, I think ideally the next episode we will discuss a particular video game. We will get into the nitty gritty of it, and go from there. So if anyone else has anything else to say, we'll start to wrap this up.
I'm good to go.
I think it's about that time.
Yeah, it is about that time. It is very late for us. So yeah, no. We appreciate anybody watching this. At this point, no one watched it live, and that's okay. That's okay. We get that. That's part of this.
Nobody knew it was going to happen.
Nobody knew it was going to happen. We didn't know it was going to happen until like 20 minutes. 20 minutes before we went live, roughly. But hey, if you've caught this video through the feed, through search, whatever, we hope you've enjoyed it. You've watched it. And we will try and get more out there. So we appreciate it. And yeah, I think we will wrap this up with that. So thanks for watching. And I'm just gonna cut it. We'll get a little more professional down the road. So yeah, that's it. Anybody else?
Good to go.
Yep. See ya.
All right. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.
Play me off, Johnny.